After a certain number of years, confidential documents or files are declassified. Now, this has been declassified by the CIA. The Zimbabwean who became Nelson Mandela. Now, who is this guy showing on the screen right about now? Is it the real Nelson Mandela or the fake Nelson Mandela? Which Nelson Mandela would be real? What if the fake Nelson Mandela has always been the Mandela? So where is the real Mandela? This showing on the screen is not Nelson Madiba Rolihlahla Mandela. This is Gibson Makanda, not from Wakanda, but from Bulawayo, Zimbabwe. The conspiracy theory that Nelson Mandela died in 1985 at the age of 67 has been circulating all over Africa for years. Rumors claim that Mandela, after his release from the Robben Island, he never spoke Xhosa. Now, obviously, this led to this discovery of videos showing Nelson Mandela speaking the language. At this time, there is no YouTube. We see the Nelson Mandela Foundation issuing a statement and releasing historical footage to debunk the claims. Anyways, you would think that South Africans would think that would trust a thing like Mandela Foundation over these absurd stories. The conspiracy further explains why South Africans are encouraged to perform 67 minutes of charity on Mandela's birthday, according to the theory. After Mandela supposedly died in 1985, the government of apartheid replaced him with the imposter named Gibson Makanda. Now Mandela is the president. Others are commemorating him 67 minutes. Now in this video, I don't plan to debunk the conspiracy theory. Instead, I want to understand why some South Africans believe Nelson Mandela died in prison. It is believed that the war against apartheid was ruthless, with the military and paramilitary forces using wild dogs, tear gases and other dangerous weapons, including dangerous Africans. South Africans today cannot fully grasp how devastating apartheid was. For this reason, many people believe Nelson Mandela died in the conflict, and apartheid government replaced him with a clone, the alleged clone, Gibson Makanda. This guy, reportedly and visibly resembling Nelson Mandela, is said to have been taken to prison in 1985 where a few doctors from London would perform him a surgery on him. They do a job, nose job, ears job, all those things. And this time, there's no Steve Jobs yet. Okay. And Africans, no jobs. Then, to further pitch up the blow, the guy is trying to speak the Nelson Mandela speak, to walk the Nelson Mandela walk, and the Nelson Mandela posture. And be the Nelson Mandela, the real Nelson Mandela, is trained there. So some conspiracy theorists suggest that this deception contributed to Nelson Mandela and Winnie Mandela's divorce, as he could not recognize the man he had become. He was a different man coming from prison. Oh. Anyways, the Mandela we see doesn't look like somebody who is traumatized, who is disassociated from society. However, as it is common in Africa that the wife knows their husband best. It is the wife. Nobody can know a man than the wife. So Gibson's biography is varied. Some claim he's born in the 1900s, making him 18 years older than Nelson Mandela. Some say, Nelson Mandela was the Mandela. He was 7 years older. Some say he was born in Bulawayo in the year 1973. And some say. Beyond his birth year, little is known about him, because he was not Mandela, or he was busy being Mandela. Now this implication that the man leading the ANC negotiations with the National Party in the early 90s was becoming very, very humongous, and we see claims that no, the ANC is a puppet. The puppet is not a real freedom fighting political party. Mandela is a puppet. South Africans have been complaining that post-apartheid they hadn't gotten what they fought for, which was to ultimately liberate South Africa. While the majority of black South Africans achieved emancipation, they did not attain true liberation. Here, liberation should mean more than just formal political equality. It should encompass the economic freedom and human flourishing promised by the 1955 Freedom Charter, which Nelson Mandela helped draft. Now, the failure to deliver on this promise and the resulting widespread inequality across racial lines have led many to question what went wrong, to understand the ANC's abrupt shift in the 1990s. Now there's the issue of global macroeconomic forces. Let me just call them capital giants, who are said to be behind the ANC's controlling their puppets. Now all these giants being accused of being the puppet masters. The question will be, these guys, when they entered the land of South Africa, who gave them capital? Did they manipulate South Africa's riches, digging for purified gold and diamonds and the mines? Anyway, let's leave it there. Now the year is 2024. And in this period, we're seeing movements like the economic freedom fighters standing for economic emancipation. Yes, there is political liberation. Is there equality? Equal access to opportunities and freedoms for one to be enterprising in any endeavor, for one to be free in their own land without any limits. The ANC would inherit the system coming from the BSAC, British South Africa Company. We're seeing scandals like the VBS scandals. The guys are being accused of looting. Now with Gayton Mackenzie, a guy who was also at one time speculated to be a Zimbabwean, entering the scene. Now this guy had been a convict, and he remains an ex-convict, an ex-combatant in the freedom fighter. He took up arms and faced the bank as a bank robber. Then, as a fighter, he got caught and he sent to prison. And this is not Robben Island prison. However, he will be released from prison. Did he get the economic emancipation? He just landed there in prison. How about liberation? He came out there a hero, liberated, an author, a motivational speaker, an entrepreneur, a different mindset. Seeing him finding the Patriotic Alliance together with his best friend Kenny Kunene. Before the political venture, they venture into a club business in Joburg, where Kenny Kunene becomes the sushi master, where he will be serving sushi on bodies of naked women. Anyways, economic liberation. These African liberation movements, they have not delivered it to the people. Okay, at least did they deliver the opportunity to economic emancipation? How about liberation? What is liberation? Liberal. Bob Marley maybe would explain that a little bit more understandable, where he sings, emancipate yourselves from mental slavery, waiting to be liberated economically. There is not only one way to economic emancipation and liberation, but the first step is education. Education. Even with inheritance, you can not find yourself becoming economically liberated without becoming educated. The liberation struggle, the fight for freedom, the fight for emancipation, political emancipation, economical emancipation, and for Zimbabweans, geographical emancipation. All those words are keywords, and their real meaning, the perception, the mindset, and the mental blinders. It has been declassified so everybody can see, eh? With that, I sign out.